As we are now live. So, hello everybody. Captain Keith coming to you live here from Marine Max in Clearwater. It's a beautiful, nice, sunny day out here today. Captain Nick, who is usually my co-host, poor guy, he's stuck over on a 54-foot Aquila over on Clearwater Beach, doing some filming and some promos and stuff like that. So, he said he's going to try to jump in here. But in the meantime, proud to announce I got Andy Resoved. Did I say that right? Andy Resoved here from Resoved, our national parts and service manager for Marine Max nationwide, and he's located up in Minnesota. Thanks for joining us today, Andy.
Yeah, appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So, got a few people logging on here. We'll just give it a couple minutes here. But what's your background, or how did you get into this business here?
Yeah, so born and raised up in Minneapolis area in Minnesota. Came into Marine Max as a parts consultant, and so obviously selling parts, helping build parts to work orders, helping selling accessories for boats. I actually managed a parts department for about 8 years, and then I started getting into service writing and service management and fixed operations. So just overseeing all of parts and service operations for Minnesota. So it's been really fun continuing to take care of people and help them out and sell them fun products. It's a good business to be in.
So that's awesome. So everybody listening to this podcast, I mean, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, take advantage of this, man. You got a wealth of knowledge sitting right across the table from me here on the screen up here. So you got any kind of service questions, parts questions, anything like that, I guarantee you Andy's going to be able to come up with the answer for you. Or if he doesn't have it, I know he can find it, and we can put it in the links and the stuff later. So we got somebody checking in from Tucson. Thanks for joining us. And we got Andy Cutler Vlogs. Why are outboards, just the motor, so expensive? So that's our first question there, Andy. What makes the price of an outboard what it is?
Well, I mean, there's a lot happening in a compact package, right? So all being hanging on the outside of the boat, you've got power plant or power head, they call it, that generates all the power, along with the drive shaft and propeller shaft. It transfers all that power into props out the back, and like I said, it's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of really technical pieces all in one small package. So it's complex, and I think that's why they're pretty expensive.
Yeah, and I know, like with Mercury, I mean, it's just incredible that just the research and development and the time that goes in there. I mean, you got a small little contained area, and that thing's turning up, like these Verados are going 6,500 RPMs, to keep that thing from, grenading and throwing something through the cowling is pretty incredible.
Yeah, especially with the newer motors that have integrated joystick piloting and steering controls. There's a lot happening back there when you're hitting a joystick at the helm, right?
Oh, absolutely. And then, I mean, I haven't even seen one yet, but, very few people have, but these new V12 600s, with just the pod part of it turning and moving around. I mean, I can't wait to get my hands on one of those. And, I know it's obviously it's coming soon, so we should have it here shortly. So Florida down here, we do a lot of outboard stuff. We were talking a little bit before we went on the show. You've got a lot of stern drives up there. Why is that? Why are there kind of more stern drives geared towards the freshwater aspect versus saltwater?
Yeah, certainly. So, obviously we're freshwater up here in the Midwest, and with a stern drive application, the layout of the boat is a little bit different. A lot of people obviously really enjoy our sunshine since our season's so short up here. So they really like a full platform and sun pad on the back of the boat. And then with stern drive application, you can kind of get that rather than having some outboards back there. Obviously, it's essential in a saltwater environment to have an outboard application, just because of the ease of running fresh water through them and just flushing them down and rinsing them off for the next use. So those are probably two of the biggest differences.
Yeah, I mean down here, I mean saltwater's by far our worst enemy. I mean, the outboards seem to, like you said, flush out a lot easier, but with the stern drives, every couple of years we're dealing with manifolds, risers, elbows, and stuff like that. And I mean, it's incredible. I mean, we could have a boat from Minnesota where you're at up there come down here on trade. Somebody from up north moves down here, and the boat might be 12, 15 years old, and man, I mean, it looks like it just came off the showroom floor. Just maybe the shorter season, but also just the freshwater aspect of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, and we see vice versa when we get boats coming in from out of state too. And there's
Yep.
there's plenty of precautions that you can do to take care of that and battle the saltwater element as much as you can. And some people do a better job of it than others. So it's kind of hard to say what we get when we get a boat coming from saltwater. So
yeah, you definitely got to spend the time of, I mean, everybody, you get back in, flush your engine and wash your boat, bust out the soap and water, spend the extra time and take care of your investment. We got another question here from Isaac Solomon. He goes, are you doing service for Maxim boats? So I don't know if he's referring to you up there in Minnesota or just Marine Max as a general question.
yeah, I mean, well, Maxim is a Brunswick product boat, so it's really going to be powered with a Mercruiser or a Mercury outboard, depending on what model it is. And if it's new enough, depending on what the year is, we'll certainly work on Mercury product because we're a Mercury dealer. So anything that's boat related to the Maxim, I don't think that they make Maxim any longer, but we can always reach out to Brunswick to see if they can provide any resources, and we can really relay that information to you. So. Good question.
Yep. So there you go, Isaac. Just find your local Marine Max dealer and give them a call, and we're going to take care of you. Michael Lucas checking in from Safety Harbor, Florida. Thanks for being here, Mike. Let's see what people are still on here before they check out of here. Try to go through the questions fairly quick. Lisa Harrison, do you have any tips for trailering and things to look out for that may need maintenance?
Yeah, well, certainly, much like really any trailer that you're pulling down the road, you're going to want to look at, tire condition, make sure that they're properly inflated, tire wear, make sure they're wearing properly. When was the last time that you've serviced wheel bearings, right? Depending on how often you're trailering, we're going to recommend that you repack your bearings if you use the boat a lot or trailer it a lot every season. But if it's not a ton, maybe every 2-3 years, you're going to want to get those bearings repacked. And what I mean by repacked is actually pulling them apart, getting all of the grease out of them, inspecting the bearings, putting new grease, putting it back in there, rather than just putting a couple pumps of grease with the grease gun in there. So you'll want to do that just as a routine thing. But so bearings, tires, obviously a visual inspection, make sure that your bunks are the bunk carpet isn't coming apart, got no screws that are poking through, and that the wood's in good shape. But yeah, just a real good visual inspection, especially when you got your boat on and off the trailer when you can see it.
we had a boat come in on trade. It's a little whaler, and I'd say it was a 22 Dauntless or something. And the guy had kept the boat up in high and dry, and it had a trailer for it. Hadn't been on the trailer in forever. And our techs are taking it out to go through the inspection and give it a good survey and all that. And they launched it at the boat ramp. And the boat pulled off, and then so did the bunks. They came right off with the boat. So luckily it happened when the boat was floating in the water and all that. But they pulled the trailer back out of the ramp, and the bunks are gone. So inspect your stuff before you before you put your expensive boat on there. Also, trailers too. Saltwater, not an issue, but I know here in on the freshwater lakes. These guys, that go from lake to lake, or bass boats and stuff like that. Invasive species, right? You got to be careful. There might be something like here we got in Lake Tarpon, and then we go to a different lake or something. You don't want to be, moving that kind of stuff around. We need to keep it isolated to its specific spot.
Yeah, so visual inspection, make sure you don't have weeds or milfoil, any of those types of weeds that can transfer from lake to lake. Any places that have zebra mussels or anything like that, they're usually at most of the ramps are going to have DNR washing stations there as well, with some directives, and they can help you get that stuff out of your bait wells and make sure that you're safe to transport your boat to a different lake. I mean, if you have questions about that, and there's not those resources at the ramp, certainly reach out to us, and we can give you some guidance and some recommendations on how to be safe. So
cool. So we got a question here from Brian Drapp. What is the process for getting your boat ready for the first trip out this spring? I guess we could probably back it up a little bit. And what is your process up there in the north in the fall, right? You gotta get these boats winterized and ready for the big freeze.
yeah, so depending on what engine application you have, if it's a stern drive engine, of course there's water that's going to be circulating through it that does not self-drain. So all that water needs to come out of it for it to be safe. Otherwise, as you know, as water freezes, it expands and it can crack the engine internally, which is very, very expensive. So you got to have that water drained out. At the same time, we usually change fluids, and then we fog the engine as well. So that kind of coats the inner workings of the engine with some oil to help preserve it for sitting over the winter. And then as you get into spring, regardless if you're winterizing or if the boat's just been sitting a while, you want to confirm what kind of condition your fuel is in. If it's starting to get stale, you may want to pump it out and put fresh fuel in. But fire it up, whether it's going to be on the hose or in the lake. You want to make sure that your engine is coming up to temperature and holding temperature. You want to make sure that you're pumping water well, and kind of do a quick systems check, flip all your switches, and see what's working, what's not working.
Yep. So, and in fuel too. I mean, like we definitely recommend non-ethanol fuel. There are people, folks down here that got boats on trailers. Go to a Wawa or whatever gas station it is near you that's got the Rec 90 or the non-ethanol gas. I can just imagine if you got ethanol in the gas up there and the boat sits all winter, I mean, you're going to have, all kinds of, water problems. And there's stabilizers, of course, and stuff too.
Yeah, I recommend stabilizers, obviously. Yeah, and non-ethanol fuel if you can find it, for sure. Fuel it doesn't take long for it to sell, so be mindful of that.
So you as a service advisor, service writer, service manager, now the national service manager and parts manager, what are some questions that you get, kind of like your top 2 or 3 that come to mind?
Well, I mean, usually the first number one question is, I've got problems with my boat. How quick can you take a look at it, right? And obviously, as a service writer, listening to that phone call, we have to identify the severity of the problem and identify what it is. Is it a boat that we actually service? Is it a brand that we support? Is it a boat that we sold as well? And then just kind of set the right expectation and get an idea of when we can diagnose the problem, right? So, after we get the problem diagnosed, it can go a few different ways depending on if we need parts or what manufacturer those are going to come from, or if we need some directive from the manufacturer on how to address the problem. Then we can kind of set the timeline at that point of when it's going to be completed.
So, and then here's, I don't care where you are. Everybody out there listening to this right now knows when Memorial Day weekend is. They know when 4th of July weekend is. Don't wait and call us on Thursday afternoon before Memorial Day weekend and you want us to go through your boat and get it prepped and get it ready, or you got, dead batteries or this or that. I mean, invariably, I mean, I've spent my life, I've been Marine Max 19 years. I've ran high and dry marinas, and you'll have somebody that you don't see all year, and then they show up that one time to go out on the weekend. The boat's been sitting for 6-8 months, you know, and it's like, come on, you know, it's, you know, something's going to go wrong, you know, plan ahead, help us out to help you.
So. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's especially up in the northern markets, you know, a real short season, so it just amplifies it a little bit. But yeah, you're right. You know, take care of your stuff and plan ahead accordingly, and you're going to be better off in the long run.
So I know our technology team's really proud of it, and I mean, so am I. We all should be. We've got the Marine Max app. Can you explain a little bit about that and how beneficial it is to the client and to you as a service team?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and it kind of ties into kind of what we were just talking about, right? In the peak seasons when we are super, super busy, how many times are you calling the service department and you're just not quite getting through or not getting to the right person, and you may have to leave a message, and you kind of play that phone tag a little bit, right? So with the Marine Max app, you know, you can put in a service request, and we're going to see it come through, and we're going to identify the communication type, how you want to be communicated with, whether or not you want to be communicated through the push notifications on the app, or if you want us to text you, or if you do want us to call you. But that way, you know, when you put a request in, you know that it's getting through, and we can have an idea of what you have, what the concern is, and we can kind of get all of that information up front, so it kind of speeds up the process a little bit. So it's really, really cool technology. It's going to get better and better as we continue to develop it. But it's really, really cool, and I think that I think Marine Max is probably one of the only companies out there that offer it.
Yeah, I mean, and it works well. And another app too that's fantastic is Mercury's Vessel View Mobile. You know, some of these smaller boats that, you know, may not have an hour meter on it, or you don't know what your temperature is or your fuel burn and all that stuff. It's a free app, you know, as long as you've got that module on your engine, you log into it, and then you can, you know, keep track of your hours and your maintenance. And I mean, it does all kinds of stuff. You can load events in there, you can save waypoints, you can do all kinds of stuff. It's really, really well done.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of the newer boats are coming with that module factory installed.
Yep.
But if you wondering with your Mercury engine, if you can get that installed, feel free to reach out to the service department, and we can grab your serial number and identify whether or not we can put it on your boat and give you a quote. Because if you're out and about and you're seeing a fault code come up and you're not sure quite what it means, it gives you some additional data there as well to kind of explain what's going on with the engine too. So.
Yep, it works well. How about questions like, do you think this is covered under warranty? Is it not covered under warranty? How do you you break that down? So a customer's got maybe an issue, and, you know, do you have to get, like, are you getting like an insurance company involved, or do you go to bat for our customer on their behalf with Mercury or Sea Ray or Whaler or whoever it is?
Sure. I mean, obviously the boats vary in size, and especially the larger ones have a lot of different systems, right? So a lot of systems have their own individual warranties too. So as we experience some of this stuff, we can in a lot of cases tell you right off the bat whether or not it'll be covered. We can make a phone call to the manufacturer to verify. In a lot of cases, we need to diagnose to kind of get a true idea of why the problem's happening. And that can, you know, affect whether or not it may be warranty or not. But we always have the customer's best interest in mind. You know, if we get denied coverage from the manufacturer, we truly feel that it's a failure or a defective component. You know, we're going to bat for the customer to make sure it gets covered. Same thing with extended warranty policies as well. So.
Right. All right, we got another question on here from Brian Drapp. Goes, what is the lifespan for accessories? How often should this stuff be replaced? like vests, fire extinguishers, and what are other items I might want to look at to make sure it's not expired? Great question, Brian. So I'll kind of roll with that. Marine Max offers a go boating kit with all the boats we sell. And in that, you are going to have your fire extinguisher, your flares, your life jackets, your Type 4 throwable, fenders, lines, anchor, cleaning kit, all that kind of stuff. But if your flares are older than 3 years, I guarantee you they're expired. There's a manufacturer date and an expiration date on those flares. So just, open up your flare kit, your flare box, the bag, whatever they're in, and check it out if you haven't looked at them in a while. Same thing with your fire extinguishers. There's going to be a gauge on there, and the needle, it's going to be up in the green, which you're good to go, or it's expired, it's lost its power, it's lost its charge, it's going to be down in the red. And actually, too, if you've got a Kidde, Kidde fire extinguisher on your boat, which more than likely you do, a few years ago they had a national recall. You can take your fire extinguisher, go to their website, and on your fire extinguisher, there's a serial number. And if it falls in that recall range, you just let them know. They will send you a brand new replacement. And then you're just going to take yours, put it in a box, and send it back to them, however it came, UPS or whatever. Life jackets. Take a look at them. Make sure there's not a tear or a rip, that all the buckles, all the clips, all are working good. And here, just another tip, kind of off subject, but if you're going to be sleeping on your boat, you're out at sea, you're on the anchor, hell, I don't even care, maybe you're at the dock, go ahead and get your life jackets out from underneath that seat cushion that they're stored in, or wherever you've got them in your boat. Get a life jacket out and sleep with it right next to your bed. Because if something were to happen, maybe a strainer breaks or who knows what, somehow or other, you end up with water in the boat. It's pitch black. It's 2:00 in the morning. You can't tell which way's which. You've got your life jacket laying right there next to you on the bed. You can get in and out because it's going to be really, really difficult to try to find your way through the boat to open up a certain seat hatch and dig those out. So just, kind of plan ahead, 99.9999% of the times, nothing's going to happen. But that one little instance, that could save your life. So just a little pointer there. A little off tangent, but hell, somebody listening to it, they might be able to listen in next week.
Right. And another one to think about too, especially on larger vessels, is the carbon monoxide detector. So, they expire. They have an end of life date on them. There's a couple different brands out there, so be mindful if on those boats with carbon monoxide detectors. A lot of the newer ones will be tied into the generator as well. So a lot of times, if the generator won't run, it'll be because the carbon monoxide detector is expired or is dead. So want to make sure that equipment's functioning properly.
Excellent point. And do not go in there because it's annoying and that alarm's going off. Don't go and unplug it because then it's obviously not going to work. But you might just think it's like glitch or it's not operating right. You unplug it and you forget you got it unplugged. You go take a nap, and then you really take a nap. So, don't leave those unplugged. So how about mobile service? Is that a thing that's store specific? Do we offer it throughout the country, or how does kind of the mobile service part of it work?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that most of our stores are offering mobile service. I mean, we sell boats all over the world, right? So, wherever your boat is located, we can help assist, whether we come to the boat or if it's really, really far away, we help facilitate repairs with a dealer that's close to that, especially if it's covered under warranty. So yes, short answer, yes. Of course, we offer mobile service, and obviously it's going to be for products that we sell and that we take care of. But yeah, it's a big part of our business.
So Brian's coming in with another question. Glad you joined us today, Brian. It makes our lives a lot easier here. So anybody else out there listening to this, put the question in the box and we'll try to answer it for you. But He goes, if I'd like to change or purchase another prop, do you have a rental or exchange program to test different props?
So I'm not sure if every single location has this, but if it's Mercury, I know that Mercury program, and so the dealer is able to get propellers at a discount that are able to be borrowed to a customer so they can run them. And there is a fee for it. I know up in Minneapolis, we charge $25 a day just to borrow the propeller. If it's damaged, it's on you to get that taken care of for us. We keep your credit card on file, but it's a good way for you to truly see what the propeller is going to do for your performance before you spend five, seven, eight, $1,000 on some of those props. And of course, props are not returnable. So that we offer that here at our location in Minneapolis, but I know that there's some other stores of ours that do it as well.
Cool. Got another question coming in, or somebody just texted me. So it says, do I need to change my oil every year?
Short answer is yes. I mean, I would say annually is going to be, at least when you need to do it, right? So you're going to have a maintenance schedule in your owner's manual for your engine. Make sure that you're looking at that. Hopefully your delivery captain is going through that stuff with you at delivery time. But depending on the hours on it, you may need to change it a couple times throughout the season. Up in the Minneapolis area, we sell Nautique ski boats, and those people are out there all the time, and just annually in the fall isn't enough. A lot of times we have to go out with mobile service, or if they bring the boat to us, if they have a trailer, we're doing it mid-season. So.
Hey there, Captain Quartz. Thanks for joining us. He's checking in from Kuwait today. Michael Lucas has got a question here for you. So Andy, he goes, we were talking about the MarineMax app. Is he able to schedule, follow the maintenance, and pay for it all on that app?
Yes. Yeah. So you can put in all of your information, what you have for a boat, what kind of problem it is. That generates a request for our service team, and they can communicate with you through the app through the entire process. So we can set the right expectations for you, know when we're coming out there, when we're going to diagnose the boat, set the timeline after we get it diagnosed, when we can have it completed for you. And I believe when you create a request, it asks for you to have your credit card on file for payment for the work. We can send quotes to you so you know how much it's going to cost. We can also send you the invoice itself for you to review and before you actually pay for it. But obviously work is, once it's completed, that's when payment is due, and hopefully we communicate with you well throughout the process, so there's no questions when the work's done. But yeah, short answer, yes, it's great. It's a great tool.
Hey, and Captain Quartz has got a kind of a follow-up to that service thing here. He goes, a thermostat, is it really needed in the engine? I wouldn't think they'd build an engine with a thermostat in it, right? If it wasn't doing some sort of, is it like an appendix, or does it perform a duty?
Yeah, well, I mean, the thermostat is there to obviously to regulate the temperature, right? So, we want engines to not overheat. We want engines to not run too cool, right? So we want them to run at an optimal temperature. So, 9 times out of 10, if you're overheating, it's going to be because of a water pump problem. But if you're running too cool, usually what we're usually seeing is debris that's in the thermostat, not allowing it to open up properly. So that's why earlier in our conversation, I think that it's important to know the operating temperature of your engine. Make sure that when it's cold, that it comes up to temp and that it holds at that temp, so that everything's operating correct.
Cool. All right, so jumping back over to more questions here. This one's been asked twice. See, if we had Captain Nick Pavlakis on here with us, he'd roll with this one, but I really don't know the answer to it. There's probably tons of answers, but why do boats depreciate so much?
Well, I mean, it's a luxury item. certain brands depreciate more than others. Thankfully with MarineMax, I feel like we handle the highest quality, best boats in the business, and we find that the depreciation is not as bad as many other brands. So, like I said, it's a luxury item, but if you take care of it and you got a good quality boat, it actually doesn't depreciate as much as many other things that you can have for toys.
Yep. The old saying, you get what you pay for. Especially in the marine environment, there's a lot of truth to that. So Brian is back again. He goes, he's taking his freshwater boat to saltwater. Do I need to do anything to make it saltwater ready? Does he need to change anything? Zincs, anything else? Then post run, what's he supposed to do after he gets it out of the saltwater?
Yeah, so I'm not sure what engine package he has on the boat, but if it's like a stern drive coming from freshwater to saltwater, they usually come with aluminum zincs, which will work in freshwater or saltwater. Obviously, they're going to corrode faster in a saltwater application, so you want to keep an eye on those and replace those as you see them starting to disintegrate. Obviously, getting the water flushed out of it would be ideal. So there are engine flush kits that are able to be purchased, like from Mercury, for an example, that can be added to your engine that you can hook a hose up to. And once you get the boat out of the water, you can flush all that salt water out. And then obviously externally, you want to make sure that you rinse off the outdrive, rinse off the entire boat, right? Get all that salt off.
So, just maintenance. I mean, just keep the boat clean, wash it, flush it, get all that salt off of there. How about the folks down in Texas and the Southeast, right? I mean, you're from Minnesota. You guys are used to the cold. You know it's coming. You prepare for it. They just got whacked. I mean, it's crazy. Long-term effects that's going to have. I mean, we had a freeze here quite a few years, maybe 12 years ago, and just the fish kill and different stuff. But as that cold was coming, what should or could have people done to maybe help prevent any kind of damage? Because you talked about like frozen blocks and things like that, when that water freezes and then it expands.
Yeah. So not only just the engines, but on a lot of the systems, right? The water systems and everything else there that comes with it. So every region winterizes their boats a little bit differently. Obviously, us up in the Minneapolis area, it gets colder up here than most. So we make sure that all water is completely drained out of all the systems. That in a lot of cases it's blown out with compressed air. We use a lot of non-tox antifreeze products up to 100 below up here. But some of these other regions, they'll just have a bilge heater that's down in the bilge for when it gets a little bit cooler out. They'll use some antifreeze that may be diluted a little bit, may not be quite as effective. But keep an eye on that weather, and when you see something like that come in, give us a call and explain what your boat is and that you're concerned, and we can give you some guidance or possibly get those systems drained down prior to it getting that cold. Because you're right. I mean, there's the strainers and a lot of those water systems are all frozen, and you have potential of breaking that stuff and having your boat. So it's devastating what that cold weather has done over there, and I know that people just haven't been prepared for it.
Right. So how about is there anything they should look for to see if there was potentially damage done to their? I mean, will they know it if like you open up the engine hatch and you got oil in there, or like is there something they should do before they hop in the boat now that it's warmed up and crank it up?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can check the dipstick on the oil. You can do a visual inspection to see if there's any cracking on the side of the engine block, water leaking out. But like I said, normally if it's an internal crack, something like that, you're not going to really know until you fire it up. And when you do fire it up, I would let it run for a little bit and then check the oil. If you're going to see it milky, almost look like a milkshake, that you have water intrusion and it's all getting mixed together with the oil, and you need to make sure you shut that down right away.
Gotcha.
So unfortunately, that's the way you find out.
Yeah.
Same thing with the
Hey, we
water
got
system. You know, when you get that pressurized, you're gonna start experiencing some leaks. You know.
right. Well, that's why these new boats that come from the factory have got that pink dye in it. That's like a non-toxic antifreeze that because then when they ship them out of the factory, whether it's Sea Ray out of Knoxville or Whaler over here at Edgewater or wherever, they don't know where that boat's going to go. So the whole thing's been, the fresh water system anyway. It's got that pink antifreeze in there. Hey, Nick Pavlakis just checked in here on Facebook with us. He goes, "Hey guys, sorry for leaving you hanging." He goes, "I'm a bum. I know." That's all right, man. You're on that 54 Aquila out there. You've got a helicopter flying around. You're Hollywood out there. We'll be seeing you all the promo vids. So he's over at Clearwater Beach today. So don't blame you, man. So, and he's actually sold the hull number one. So he's got that 54 Aquilas. He's the first salesman, first sale of the company there, and they're taking delivery. So it's a beautiful boat too, the 54 and the 70. So, and Pavlakis, Hollywood. There you go. Thanks, Mom. This is Mom checking in there. Oh, that's cool. Let's see what else we got here. We can go through. How about a checklist? Do you recommend that kind of like a something they can black and white look over briefly before you hop in the water and turn the key and take off for the day?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great idea. I mean, just so you're not always winging it, you know what I mean? And you're just being thorough every single time. There may be something that you forget to check every time that, if something fails, you're going to really be kicking yourself, So I think that a checklist is important. We can help facilitate that for you as well. If you kind of want a list of things that you want to have checked off before you get in the boat. We don't have a standardized form for that, but it's probably a good idea. Otherwise, just looking online a little bit, there are some boating checklists that are out there that would kind of offer as a template to get started with that.
Yeah, so like we'll do sometimes. Like I've seen a lot of our customers do this. Say they've got a yacht or a sport yacht, something's kept in the water, right? So you're gonna have different systems on when you're on the boat versus when you're underway, and the generator, shore power, all that stuff. They use those little sticky dots, like a red dot or a green dot, and they'll have them next to the breaker switches, So like the red ones are on when you're at the dock, and then once you get the Jenny going and you unplug and you're going, then you're going to flip on all the little green dots and all that. It's just a real quick little thing you can go through there without having to stop and read all right, do I want my water heater on? Do I need the outlets on or this or that? It's just kind of right there to go through. Just simplify it. Let's see what else we got. More questions coming in here. How about lower unit seals, Andy? How often do I have to replace or rebuild the lower unit seals?
Well, I mean, you usually don't want to necessarily fix something until it's broke or taken apart, right? So, if you're going to
Right.
be doing your annual maintenance, you want to, if this is a stern drive application, you want to make sure that you do a stern drive service, generally annually, or every 100 hours, worst case. And along with that service, they'll pressurize the gear case so they can tell whether or not you have a seal leak or not. So I don't think that in that particular case it makes sense to just replace them just because. But some of that maintenance will identify whether or not you have a problem or not. So make sure that you're talking to your dealer about that.
All right, so we got Captain Quartz on here again on YouTube. He goes, do you think the boat factories will take some step ahead, like boat shape or something? I guess he's talking about maybe the design of the boats in the future. Maybe. I mean, they're they're always working on something, to make something a little more efficient. I mean, look at hydrofoils, right? So, the Aquilas have gone to that on some of the boats to raise it up and, to increase performance. And let's see who else we got here. George Royster. All right, Andy, do you anticipate any maintenance challenges with the new Mercury 600 coming out?
Well, it's hard to say. Like I said, they do their due diligence and their research, and they're trying to make things easier for the customer and easier for the dealer to maintain. As a service guy, I look at that and I see more moving parts and stuff like that with just the bottom halves of those engines turning and stuff. And obviously, there's going to be some new parts and new components there. So I haven't seen the maintenance schedule or what that looks like, but there may be some additional things that we need to look at with that engine. But Mercury's got our best interests and your best interests in mind.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how many years? Who knows how many years they've been working on this? I mean, it's just not okay. Here we go, and let's just wing it. So, well, heck, Andy, we're almost 45 minutes into this. I'd like to take this time now to just kind of thank you for joining us. I know Nick wishes he was here too, but he's got some other things going on like we talked about. Next week, it's just going to be Nick and myself. We're just going to talk about anything boating. So you guys, please, man, I mean, thank you for joining us on Facebook and YouTube and popping in those questions over there. It makes it a lot easier for us. And hope you learned a little something here. And once again, thanks, Andy. Stay warm up there. And we'll be seeing you guys out on the water.